All right, so this is information that deals with Project 1 for MAT 125. For this project, you are going to need to use Minitab. You cannot use Excel, you must use Minitab. Minitab is available at all computers at Mercer. It's Minitab 17, or for those who do not have access to Mercer or cannot get to the campus, what you can do is, where am I going here? Is go to Minitab.com. So when you type in Minitab.com, you go over to products and you click Minitab 17 and you can download a free trial. So the free trial is good for a month, which will give us more than enough time to do the 2 projects that we do use for using Minitab. So you can either download it on your personal computer for the month, or you can use any of the computers at Mercer. Okay. So, Project 1. Once again, we're going to use Minitab. We're going to include all our printouts, the data set, and where we got our data set. All right. So you have a few choices. You can collect your own data. You can find a data set that's already been done for you on a website. Or you can use a data set that I actually have provided for everyone to have access to. The key with this data set, though, it needs to have a quantitative variable and a qualitative variable. So actually on the other side of this paper, because it is 2-sided, so 2 pages, your data set has to have at least 25 values. It has to have a quantitative value and a qualitative value. So on my website, which is also going to be posted in Blackboard, is a data set that I've created. And it is on my website, which is mccc.edu/tilde-sharkey-c. Once again, it's also going to be posted in Blackboard under data set. My data set is on an Excel spreadsheet, and it contains many values, many variables. You have age, gender, height, weight, shoe size, and so forth. Scroll back and forth, and you have a wide variety of quantitative variables as well as qualitative variables. Now, when I did this, Minitab would not let me put in anything other than numbers representing our qualitative variables. It now lets you do that. But down at the bottom of this spreadsheet, it actually tells you what the variables are. So for grade level, 1 is freshman, 2 is sophomore, 3 is junior, 4 is senior, and so forth. So grade, gender is 1 male, 2 female, division. It also tells you what the quantitative variables are based on: hours per day, per week. So these are all your hair color, your car color, whether you have glasses, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you live in Trenton or West Windsor. So you have lots to choose from here. All right. So if you want to choose my data set, you can just copy and paste the entire data set into a Minitab. Now Minitab looks like this. All right. So it's just like an Excel spreadsheet. All right. And you can either type in your data values, or you can copy and paste, depending on where you got your data from. Some other places where you can get your data, you can get it from ESPN website. They have a great source of statistics. Once again, make sure it's quantitative and qualitative from the same data set. All right. I also gave you 3 suggestions on collecting your own data. There's lots of things you can do. All right. You can be as creative or not as you want to be for this. Right? And if you have questions about your data set, please do not hesitate to ask. You can send me the data set. I can look at it so that you're doing it correctly. So the data set I chose is actually from a website that is no longer, unfortunately, in use. Otherwise, I would have given that as an option. And it's Teacher Pay by States. So it's the average public teacher pay and spending on public schools per pupil in 1985 for 50 states in the District of Columbia. So I have 51 data values. All right. So I'm going to take the entire data set and copy and paste it, or I already did that, into my Minitab program. So I know that pay is based on teacher annual salary, spend is spending on public schools per pupil, and the area is Region 1, which represents Northeast and North Central. Region 2, Area 2 is South, and 3 represents West. Okay, so we have different numbers. So I don't have the whole data set printed here, but this is where I came from. So I'm going to come over here to Minitab, and I have my state, my pay, my spend, and my area. So I'm all set to start working in Minitab. So I'm going to come back here to my project. Come back up. So once again, you need to make sure you have a quantitative variable as well as a qualitative variable. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to print out your data set. Oh, and if you are using my data set, you just need to copy and paste your quantitative variable and your qualitative variable. Do not copy the entire data set. So many of you in my online class will not be sending this, or will not be printing this. You'll just send it to me. What you need to do is open a Word document. All right, and that way what you can do is copy and paste your entire data set into that Word document. And obviously it's into the Word document. I would make it pretty. I'm not going to take up this many pages for my data, so I'm going to change my paragraph and so forth to cram it back onto one page. And of course I'm going to change my margins and so forth. So there's an actual example of your printout that I have posted on Blackboard. So that's my data set, all 51 values. Because on part 1, not only does it tell you to print out the data set, you have to tell me which one is quantitative and which one is qualitative. So here, I told you that I found it at this website, and it does say see last page of project, because that's where I printed it out. State and area are my qualitative variables. Pay and spend are my quantitative variables. So that is problem number 1. For those of you who are actually going to print this at the college or at home if you want to, you don't have to put it in a Word document. What you can do is go to File, Print Worksheet, and you can put your name and the title of your project right there and then print it. Once again, it's File, Print Worksheet. You can type your name, hit OK, and then you can print it. Or just print it to, copy and paste it to your Word document. The next question, well actually, here. This is also provided for you. It is the steps for printing it from Minitab. So you go to File, Print Worksheet, place your name and the title, and then you just print it. All right. The next thing on the project, oops, sorry, is we're going to construct a bar graph of the qualitative variable from your data set. So once again, here it tells you what to do. It's for your qualitative variable. We're going to print, the printout is going to be your bar graph. You're going to go to Graph, Bar Chart. You're going to select your column and click Labels to type in a title. So in Minitab, I'm going to click on Graph. I want my bar chart, which is the same thing as a bar graph. I'm going to let it be simple. I'm going to hit OK. And my area is what I want to use for my my bar graph, because state, it would give me one value per each one, and so that's not very interesting. So I'm going to hit select. I'm going to type in labels, and I'm going to put bar graph of area. And I'm also going to do, as a subtitle, let people know what each 1, 2, and 3 represent. So 1 represented the northeast and north central. 2 represented the south, and 3 represented the west. So I'm going to hit OK, and there's my bar graph. So now I know what 1, 2, and 3 all represent. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste that in my Word document. And I can make this much smaller. Right? I don't want to use a whole lot of paper, so I can just print it, make my graph just one page, a little part of 1 page. The next thing for my project is, it says construct a pie chart of your qualitative variable. Once again, go to Minitab. I'm going to go to graph. I'm going to go to pie chart. If nothing shows up here, click on this categorical variable box and things will show up. I don't know why it doesn't. It's, I guess, a glitch in the program. I'm going to hit area, so I'm going to select, and then I'm going to go to labels. I'm going to give my title, my pie chart a title. I have area. Once again, I'm going to say 1 is northeast and north central. 2 is south. 3 is west. I'm also going to come here to slice labels, and I'm going to click all 3. Going to hit OK and OK. And there is my pie chart of area. Once again, I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go to my document, and I'm going to paste. And once again, I'm going to make it smaller. I actually have this done, so you have an idea what it looks like. So this is what I've done so far. Here's my bar graph. It is black and white because I did print it before. My pie chart. Question number 4 was based on parts 2 and 3. Write a sentence or 2 describing the qualitative variable. So if you see that mine is already done, and I did, and I said region 1, which is the northeast and north central, has the largest frequency, and region 3, which is the west, had the fewest data values. Once again, whatever you see. It doesn't have to be book. You don't need more than 2 sentences. Just whatever you happen to see based on your data. Okay. Number 5 is you're going to find the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, Q1, Q3, and your IQR of all the observations of the quantitative variable. Now you're going to look at your quantitative variable. In this case, I chose to use pay as my quantitative variable. I could have used spend, but I chose pay. And this is what your printout is going to look like. All right? So I actually want to get there. So I'm going to go back to Minitab. I'm going to go to Stat, Basic Statistics, and Display Descriptive Statistics. And I want pay, so I'm going to select that. And I also want to click where it says Statistics. And I don't need my SE of mean. I need my error quartile range and my mode. And everything else, I don't need these, so I'm just going to unclick them. So I have exactly what I need. So I'm going to hit OK and hit OK. And here's the values printed up in your session window. So once again, you're going to copy. And I'm going to come down here and paste it. Now, of course, my printed version looks a lot better because I played with it and made sure it looked nice. So that's what you can do after you cut and pasted all your information. you could play with your Word document. Once again, in the Minitab information project, it tells you how to do this, which is your basic statistics. So once again, basic statistics for all observations. You go to Stat, Basic Statistics, Display Descriptive Statistics, and then click the statistics and select the statistics that are needed. Under Variables, select Quantitative Variable column. So then it said, note this information is your session window. As you can see, this is my session window, right? The next thing I want to do is number 6, is I want to find the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, Q1, Q3, and IQR for the quantitative variable for each of the qualitative variable categories, basically. So once again, I'm going to go to Stat, Basic Statistics, Display Descriptive Statistics, and this should automatically be here. So I'm going to click down here by variable, and I'm going to put in area and hit OK. So these are the descriptive statistics based on area. So as you can see, in the north and north central, the mean was 23,472. The south, the mean was 22,894. The west, the mean was 26,159. So it broke it up into each individual region or area that we're looking at. Once again, tells you how to do it right here. In variables blocks, select your quantitative. If you're doing it all at once, it should already be there. And then in your by variables blocks, select your categorical or qualitative variable. Right. So once again, I'm going to copy and paste this in my Word document. So that's my information for number 6. So as you can see, for my actual project, here it is, number 5, number 6 has all the information I need. Now number 7, I want to construct a histogram of all the observations of the quantitative variable. And then based on my histogram, I'm going to construct a frequency table. So once again, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to Graph, and I'm going to look at histogram. It's just a simple old histogram. I'm going to hit OK. And I want pay, so I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so here is my histogram of pay. So I'm going to copy this into my Word document. And of course make it smaller so I have room. Now the other thing I am going to do is I need to come up with a frequency table of my data. Well, Minitab's nice. If you can't figure out what your limits are here, your boundaries for each or intervals, if you just let the arrow hover over the box, it'll tell you what your interval is and how many is in it. So in this case, my interval is 6,000 to 10,000. So I can see that the width of this interval is 4,000. So I know there's at least 2 more bars here. Well, there's 2 more bars here. So therefore, the next bar is going to go from 10,000 to 14,000. And then this one's going to go from 14,000 to 18,000. And they get zeros. So then I can look, 18,000 to 22,000 has 17. 22,000 to 26,000, 19. 26,000 to 30,000, there's 10. Oops. 30,000 to 34,000, there's 3. And then 34,000 to 38,000, there's 0. And then 38,000 to 42,000, there is 1. So, looking at the project that I've already completed, I set up, here's my histogram of my pay, and then here's my frequency table of my histogram. Now please note, you do not have to draw or construct a table in this fashion. You don't have to type it. You can write it all up if you want. I'm okay with that. Even the questions, answering the questions, you can write it. I just chose to type it. You can write all this if you want. Okay, so that is number 7. Do not forget to do your frequency table. And it's quick and easy to do while you're sitting there once your histogram is up. Obviously it doesn't show it here, but in Minitab it will. Number 8 says to construct a box plot of all the observations of the quantitative variable. So once again, I'm going to come over here I'm going to go back to graph, box plot. I'm going to start with a simple one, hit OK. I want pay, and I'm going to hit OK. There's my box plot. So once again, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it. So if you scroll down for my example that I gave you, it's right here, it's number 8. There's my box plot of pay. Once again, I know I didn't do it for histogram. I do have the directions for the histogram. So graph, histogram, simple, select your column, and of course you can type in a title. Box plot for all observations, you're going to choose Y simple, select your column, and type in your title. Right. The next one, number 9, is you're going to construct a side-by-side box plot for the quantitative variable by the qualitative variable. So what we're going to do is separate the areas into 1, 2, and 3 and construct a box plot based on those. So I'm going to go back to my mini tab, and I'm going to go to graph. Once again, it is a box plot. And instead of simple, I'm going to do with groups. Going to hit OK. So once again, my graph variables is my pay. My categorical variable is my area. And of course I can do my title box plot of pay within each area. And I'm going to hit OK. And there's my box plot for pay within each of my areas. So I have an idea of how the data for the northeast and north central is distributed compared to the area, how the pay within the south is distributed and the pay within the west is distributed. Okay, once again, I'm going to copy. And paste. And as you can see, it tells you how to do that. The box plot within groups, you need your qualitative variable, so it tells you exactly what to do. Part 10 says construct a stem and leaf display for the quantitative variable and what stem is the median located on. Once again, come back to mini tab, graph, stem and leaf. I want my pay. Select, hit OK. And your stem and leaf comes in your session window. So I am going to copy and paste it in my Word document. And just so you know, where this parentheses are around this 26 tells me that my median is located on that stem. Alright, so in the handout, in the example I gave you, I actually typed that in. Here it is. The median would be on the 4th stem from the top. So because that's the 26, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the 4th stem from the top. And that is basically all that you need Minitab to do. The rest of it is hand calculations or writing something up. Okay, so you are now done with Minitab. You can close that if you want. Number 11 says based on parts 5, 7, 8, and 10, does it look like the distribution is skewed to the left, right, or symmetric? Give justifications by comparing the median with the mean. Also write a sentence or two describing any other observations about the quantitative variable. So I did that already. So I said that the data looks right skewed. So I'm going to come back up here for my histogram, and it sort of looks right skewed. It's a little symmetric, but I'm going to say it's right skewed. And then I actually compared the mean and the median here. My mean is 23.964. My median is 23,964. My median is 22,934. So my mean is greater than my median, so my data set is slightly right skewed. So that's what I wrote. I said the mean is greater than and the mean is greater than my median, so the data is right skewed. And I also looked at my box plot, and it looks like there's 2 outliers. So there's an outlier below and an outlier above, so I mentioned that. Part 12 says, based on parts 6 and 9, write a sentence or two describing the quantitative by qualitative variable, and include which qualitative variable has the largest IQR and what is it. So once again, I went back up here and I looked at my box plot of pay within the area, and I can see that they all each have an outlier. I can also tell up here easier by looking at my data that my IQR for area 1, which is the northeast and north central, has the largest IQR of 6,600. So that's what I typed down here. There are possible outliers in each region. Region 1 is left skewed, Region 2 is symmetric, and Region 3 is right skewed. And then I did note that Region 1 has the largest IQR of 6,600. So once again, to figure out whether it's skewed, I can easily look at the mean and the median. So for Region 1, my mean is actually smaller than my median, so therefore it is left skewed. My mean for area 2 and my median are really close together, so I said they are about symmetric. And then my mean and my median for my area 3, the mean for area 3 is greater than the mean for area, and the median for area 3. So I said it was right skewed. All right. Number 13, a little harder now. Based on the information from part 5, what percentage of the data in each of the following intervals? So I'm going to find 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, 3 standard deviations. So I actually have to grab paper and pen and do this. So based on that information, I grabbed my mean, which is 23,964, and my standard deviation, which is 4848. And I came down here and I wrote this out by, I typed this actually, but I wrote it by hand first. So I'm going to do X bar minus my standard deviation and X bar plus my standard deviation. So I did my 23,964 minus 4848 and 23,964 plus the 4848. Came in with this interval, and I found that there are 42 values in this interval. So therefore 42 divided by 51 times 100 gives me my 82.4%. Now, there is an easy way for you to sort your data. If you copy your data from Minitab into an Excel spreadsheet, and you go over to data and you hit sort, it will sort your data from smallest to largest, so it is easy to see which data values are in that interval. Right? So that's basically what I did. I just went to Minitab, copied my data set for my quantitative variable, put it in Excel, and sorted it. And that way I could easily see which ones were in which interval. So then I found the interval for 2 standard deviations, which was 14,268 to 33,660, and I found that there are 48 values in that interval, so 96. And then I did it one more time for 3 standard deviations, and in this fact, my interval, in this case, my interval went to 9420, 38,508, and there's still 48 values, so it's still 96%. So you don't always have 100%, because once again, I did notice earlier that there were 2 outliers, so this sort of makes sense. All right. So this takes a little bit of work, but not too difficult. And then last, I'm going to look at number 14. I want to find the intervals where mild outliers could occur and where extreme outliers could occur, and then give the data values which are mild outliers and extreme outliers, if any. So that is the last thing I'm doing. So I'm going to come back up here to part 5, and I find that here's my first quartile, here's my third quartile, and I have my IQR. So I have the information I need. So once again, you can write all this out, you do not have to type it. I found my boundaries. So I have my lower fence, which is Q1 minus 1.5 times my IQR, my upper fence, which is 26,525 plus 1.5 times my RQR, and then I did my lower fence and my upper fences, right? So the intervals for possible outliers are between 43,601 and 12,635. And then the top part is 34,859 and 43,193. And extreme values, extreme outliers would be less than 4301 or greater than 43,193. So therefore, looking at my data, I found that 41,480 and 6610 are possible outliers because they're in these two intervals. All right. So that is all for the project. So on Blackboard, you have access to the project itself. You have access to Minitab, the steps to actually figure out how to do your Minitab. You have access to an example of what Project 1 should look like. Yeah, so those three, and your data set. And the data set you can use. You do not, once again, you do not have to use my data set if you do not choose to. Just make sure whatever data set you choose has a qualitative variable and a quantitative variable. If you have any questions whatsoever, if you're doing this right, please don't hesitate to send me an email or talk to me in class. I will be more than happy to help you do this. All right.